3 sixes. 666.
Just under 60 billion.
I'd like to deposit this in the new account.
For it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
Around 60 hours.
T-minus 60 seconds and counting.
6 boys from Massapequa.
Because I got 6 little friends.
Because of those 6 wonderful boys.
6, 6, 6.
6 for sex, darling.
There's some black-clad leather demon.
After you, 006.
You do need it. I like this girl.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
Hi, I'm James Lloyd, and I'm the producer of this program. Secret Sixes will document one of the most shocking phenomena you're ever going to see. I'm talking about the practice of placing subliminal embeds in motion pictures, television programs, or even commercials. Now, for the benefit of you that are not familiar with the term subliminal embed, allow me to explain. An embed is a coded message, a hidden communication, or otherwise secretive image that is carefully embedded in visual or auditory media. Many have heard about the famous experiment back in the 1950s where the message "eat popcorn" was allegedly flashed on the screen for a fraction of a second, causing a sharp increase in popcorn sales. Now, that technique is being used today, but there are other types of subliminal embeds we'll be addressing in Secret Sixes. We're going to be examining the biblically significant number 666, for it seems that large numbers of motion picture producers are secretly placing 666s in their movies. Sound incredible? That's why we're doing this expose as a video, so we can show you actual clips from these films. In fact, you've probably seen a lot of the movies we'll be showing you today. A couple of facts need to be established first. First of all, 666s are usually broken into groups. There's 2 numbers rather close together, followed by a third 6, usually within a minute or 2. Second, it's common for the producers to mix media, auditory and visual, so you may see 2 6s and then hear the third 6, or hear 2 6s and see the third 6. In any event, there's always 3 of them. Now, film director Quentin Tarantino is a good example. He had a big hit called Pulp Fiction, starring John Travolta, and this film has a 666. Travolta's a hitman with a briefcase full of money that has a combination lock. Here's an example of verbal 666s. In a film called Desire, undercover cop Kate Hodge is dialing a disconnected number. Listen.
The number you have reached, 666-1969, has been disconnected.
Here's some visual examples. Tom Clancy's hit book, A Clear and Present Danger, starring Harrison Ford and James Earl Jones, gives us 3 6s very early in the film. In this scene, James Earl Jones has some reading material for an extended stay in the hospital.
I thought I had the flu. Right, or maybe. That's what they said, maybe. Which sounds suspiciously like no to me. There's one of them now. Hey, I'm not dead yet.
Interesting. Now let's take a look at what I call the multi-clip approach. This is where you see 3 6s in sequential scenes. Sometimes it's the same 6, just shot from different angles. The key is there always seems to be 3 of them. Like this clip from the action hit The Getaway, starring Alec Baldwin and Kim Basinger. This one is set at the dog races, and it's fast, so watch closely and count the 6s you see and hear. Now, just in case you missed it, let's see that one again. Still not convinced? 1996's big-budget political drama City Hall, starring Al Pacino, John Cusack, and Bridget Fonda, was very diligent in invoking the power of 666. Oh yeah, there's power in 666. That's why they're doing it. But we'll come back to that later. Here's City Hall. The first set of 6s is innocuously found in this scene, where the deputy mayor, played by John Cusack, is flipping through TV news reports about the murder of a 6-year-old boy. Here we'll see 3 different news broadcasts. All mention the age of the victim.
That earlier today took the life of an innocent 6-year-old boy who was on his way to school during an apparent police action. Police detective Eddie Santos.
They all over like a cheap suit.
It's gonna stick to us like one.
6-year-old James Bone on his...
Yesterday, on the corner of Broadway and Marcy Street, gunfire suddenly broke out, claiming 6-year-old James Bone.
Coincidence? Then what are the odds of 3 6s appearing 3 times in the same movie? In this next scene from City Hall, Martin Landau is a crooked judge being told to retire.
Your resignation in about 6 months would be appropriate.
Six months, did you say? How about 6 hours?
I've chosen to show you 3 sets of 6s from the same movie because they're characteristic of the symmetry movie makers employ. The first set was in the beginning of the film. The second set was in the middle. And now, in this rather ironic last scene of City Hall, after fighting the hidden power structure throughout the film, the idealistic John Cusack finally gives in and decides to seek political power for himself in the 6th district election.
You're running in the 6th district, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
6th district is my district. And I'm very interested in who's going to be representing me.
Well, I'm interested that you're interested. As Huey Long once said, and I quote, if you got a friend, you got to vote.
Oh, did he say that?
Yeah, he sure did. He also told me to move to the 6th district so I could run in and said the people are real special. So do I have your vote?
We have many more to show you, so we'll step things up a bit. In a war movie called Courage Under Fire, we have Denzel Washington examining Meg Ryan's conduct under fire. Here's a group of tanks going against Iraqi troops during Desert Storm. The interesting item is the tanks are named Sabre 6, Liberty 6, and Cougar 6.
Sabre 6, this is Cougar 6. Go ahead, Cougar 6.
Another military film, Tom Clancy's hit The Hunt for Red October, has Alec Baldwin being dropped from a copter down to a submarine. We're going to see 3 different shots of the same copter. The interesting thing is it has this curious big 6 on the side of it.
Commander, remember, if for any reason I gotta bring you back up, I'm gonna...
Maybe they used the same helicopter in Ronnie Howard's Apollo 13 to pick up the astronauts. Let's look at a real recent set of 666s. In this made-for-HBO movie, FBI agent Peter Gallagher is after Islamic terrorists behind the attack on the World Trade Center. Here, Peter and his partner are searching for apartment number 6. The interesting thing here is all the apartments are number 6.
Hey, what are you doing there? They're not home.
Con Ed Gasly.
Oh, my. I don't smell anything. Should I leave the building?
Well, we'll let you know.
In this same flick, we get rapid shots as the timer on the bomb counts down. It's so quick and subtle, we'll have to slow it down a bit so you can see the 3 6s on the timer on the bomb.
The king has eggplant parmesan, and I brought you an extra portion.
What are you going to call the baby? Heartburn?
No, I love this stuff.
Maybe I should have brought 2 extra portions.
Should have brought 3.
Should have brought Pepto-Bismol.
Actually, clocks, timers, and gauges are used quite a bit to insert Secret Sixes into films. In this sci-fi sequel called The Philadelphia Experiment 2, a time machine is about to be activated as the clock ticks down. Also notice how the tension builds when they insert the number 6 3 times.
We're wasting time. See if they've processed the DNA. Yes, sir. How long till full power?
3 minutes.
Keep building. Unauthorized. I want the driver on report.
You with me, David? You ready?
Yeah.
That big Tom Hanks film, Apollo 13, also uses the dial approach.
A gas of some sort?
It's got to be the oxygen.
This gauge on the spaceship shows the oxygen getting low. The far left reads 600. The third and fourth both read 60. Let's see another clock countdown clip. In this caper film, Harley Jane Kozak gets captured by a group of high-tech bank robbers. Here we see the carefully timed robbery is synchronized to the clock. Back to the verbal 6s, this same film gives us Harley Jane as she follows bad guy Robert Davey through a group of rich refugees playing dice. Listen closely for the 6s as she walks by. Let's look at Oliver Stone's hit, Wall Street, for just a moment. Here, Michael Douglas and co-star Charlie Sheen are confronting another stock market mogul who's very angry with Douglas.
A 45 Luger. Only 6 of them were ever manufactured.
Congratulations. Rarer still is your interest in Anacott steel.
Well, my interest is the same as yours, Larry. Money. Thought it'd be a good investment for my kid.
No, this time I'm in for the long term. It's not a liquidation. I'm going to turn it around. You're getting a free ride on my tail, mate. And with the dollars you're costing me to buy back the stock, I could modernize the plant. I'm not the only one who pays here, Gordon. We're talking about lives and jobs. 3 and 4 generations of steelwork.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but when you acquired CNX Electronics, you laid off, what, 6,000 workers? Jemson Fruit, 4,000? That airline you bought,
Break you, mate. In 2 pieces over my knees. You know it, I know it. I could buy you 6 times over.
Later in this same film, Charlie finds out he's been had by his boss, as some accountants are boasting about how much money Michael Douglas's character will make by acquiring a certain company.
For 6,000 employees, and he walks away with the rest. I figure he'll clear 60, $70 million.
We have another clip from that film we'll show you a bit later. Right now, I'd like to get back to 666's Verbalized. This is from the 1996 hit Mission Impossible. The creative powers behind this Tom Cruise vehicle decided to take no chances, so they invoked the Luciferian power of 666's in order to ensure commercial success. In this scene, the Mission Impossible crew is being briefed on the security measures they must overcome at a top-secret installation. Listen for these sixes.
I'm talking about the 686 prototypes with the artificial intelligence risk chip.
Relax, Luther. It's much worse than you think. The terminal is in a black vault lockdown. The only person allowed in the room has to pass through a series of security checks.
William Donlow.
The first is a voice print identification and a 6-digit access code.
Seems like some filmmakers are almost in competition as they try to outdo each other in more exotic ways to present 666 Embeds. MASH creator Larry Gelbart's 1997 film Weapons of Mass Distraction comes to mind. In a takeoff on the TV show 60 Minutes, this film actually gives us 3 sixes in the very first frame of the film.
Professional football. It's not all fun and games.
Ironically, this made-for-HBO film is all about the power of the media. Using stars Ben Kingsley and Gabriel Byrne, screenwriter Gelbart manages to embed sixes 6 times. In other words, there are 2 sets of 666s, and he does it all in the space of less than 60 seconds. 6 sixes. Watch.
Our 60/60 cameras put the question to him in London.
Mr. Messenger, Steve McCambridge, 60/60. Any thoughts on Lionel Powers' bid to buy?
Excuse me, it's not my practice to talk about Mr. Powers.
Well, in fact, you two don't talk at all, is that correct?
Well, yes, of course we talk, only not to each other. Verity.
Is there any possibility that you might try to acquire the Titans for yourself? Any comment on that, sir?
I have no interest in being in the news. I merely reported, so I thank you very much.
Reluctant as both men are to go public with their views, 60/60 has managed to obtain this rare footage of
1996's comedy, Flirting with Disaster, brought us comedy veterans Mary Tyler Moore and George Segal wondering what percentage would describe their success rate as parents. Even as we see George celebrating his 60th birthday.
Mom, you can't quantify it like that. I mean, what difference does it make if it's 40% or 60%?
60%?
Hey, why is everybody getting so serious all of a sudden?
What about your father's 60th birthday?
Well, if you let me finish what I'm saying,
In fact, the number 60 is getting quite a bit of use as film producers embed their sacred number. Later in this same film, we see the number repeatedly shows up on George's birthday cake.
So, how's the psychic healing going?
I am really sorry we didn't get back for Dad's birthday.
It's all right. We'll try it again when he turns 65, provided he lives that long and you're not too busy.
Or how about the big-budget psycho thriller, Primal Fear, starring Richard Gere? Here, the crooked district attorney is in the hot seat as Gere grills him concerning yet another dirty deal.
How much money, Mr. Shaughnessy, was invested in this failed South River enterprise?
$60 million.
Quiet.
$60 million.
Vale.
You and your investors.
Mr.
60
Vale.
million reasons to kill him.
Let's look at a real tricky one. In Barbarians at the Gate, James Garner's being told how much money he'll make in a leveraged buyout. The clever 6 is the third one. See if you can spot it.
On a Safeway buyout, he and his cousin George pocketed 60 million apiece.
Those guys aren't careful. They're going to get seriously rich.
They could do the same thing for you, Ross.
and the stockholders. Oh, the hall. Yes!
Next time you're in New York, why don't I stop dinner with him? I know you'd hit it off.
No offense, Don, but we're talking about buying out RJR Nabisco here. We're talking Astrobucks.
Well, how astro are you thinking? Henry has the ability to borrow as much as $56 billion.
Makes your $400 million seem a little like pen money, doesn't it?
Well, every little bit helps, Ross. Every little bit helps.
How'd we use?
Well, we each owe Don $3.
Obviously, the first two $60 million quotes are easy. It's the third six that's implied because it isn't actually spoken. Here, Garner's associate tells James, we each owe Don $3, as the two actors hand Don $6.
How'd we use? Well, we each owe Don $3.
You think I'm imagining this? Okay, here's a film called Beautiful Girls, with a piece of transitional dialogue that has nothing to do with the previous scene, nothing to do with the following scene. In fact, it doesn't have anything to do with the movie at all. It's just plain 3 6s. In this low-key dialogue, Timothy Hutton and Michael Rappaport are walking over to Matt Dillon's house. Listen closely.
You singing six speakers. Hey, look who's here.
Let's check this one again because it moves by so briskly. Michael says 6, then Timothy repeats 6 as a question, and then Michael concludes with the phrase 6 speakers, as though they're really talking about a stereo system.
You singing six speakers.
This is from the huge biography of John F. Kennedy called JFK, starring Kevin Costner. I've counted over 66s in JFK, but we'll just do one of them here. In this scene, within 16 seconds, we'll hear about what floor Lee Harvey Oswald used 3 times.
Same time, Bonnie Ray Williams is supposedly eating his chicken lunch in the 6th floor. He's there until 12:15, maybe 12:20. He sees nobody. Arnold Rollins down on the street, he's looking up, he sees 2 men in the 6th floor window. Presumably after Bonnie Ray Williams had finished his lunch and left. John Powell, the prisoner on the 6th floor of the Dallas County Jail, sees.
Before we move on to more movie clips, I need to point something out. The question is not, is this occurring, but more like, do they know they're doing it? And if so, why? Why indeed are the finest writers, producers, and directors embedding their films with 666s? The short answer is they believe they're tapping in to a hidden creative power that is released through the number 6. The use of the number 6 and its inverted corollary, the number 9, goes back well over a century to early occult practitioners. For centuries after the Bible was written, the 666s were always associated with the mark of the beast and the devil. Gradually, occult writers and practitioners developed the view that 6s were actually a lucky number that could invoke power when used properly and bring about prosperity and success. For example, the well-known spiritualist Alice Bailey connected the number 6 with the well-known heavenly place Shambhala. In one of her many books, Bailey wrote the following, quote, "The name Shambhala equals the number 24, which in its turn equals 6. Another New Age writer, Barbara Walker, points out that in Egyptian goddess myth, the number 3 and the number 6 were considered holy. The 3 represents the triple goddess, and the 6 represents union with God. This same New Age writer referred to 666 as, quote, the marvelous number, close quote. Another occultist, Tibetan master Djwal Khul, teaches that 666 unleashes a positive psychic energy that will soon envelop mankind in a global initiation process that will usher in a time of great peace and harmony. By the way, this idea of incorporating 6s into one's work is not limited to filmmaking. Occultists try to use the number 6 and the number 9 in all sorts of ways. When astrologer Jean Dixon decided to dedicate her Temple of Understanding, a religious organization, she arranged to have the dedication on the 6th day of the 6th month in 1966. In other words, Hollywood and other media center creatives have been greatly influenced by a New Age-oriented school of thought that teaches that the use of 666 will bring good fortune, success, and power. Consider this quote from well-known mystic Alice Bailey. In an ancient book on numbers, the initiate is defined as the one who has experienced and expressed 666, and has thus found himself upon the way. Enough of that. Let's get back to some more 6s in the films. Young black director Spike Lee has joined filmmaking's elite, and he's learned how to play the game. In a film about telephone sex called Girl 6, he loads it with 6s.
Six, where you been? You late, honey. Don't make this a habit, okay? It's so unprofessional.
Hey, what's up, sis? How you feeling? All right? I don't know. You want to drink?
What does he think? Does he love it? Does he love it enough to question already? I mean, I don't know.
By the way, the Girl 6 theme song, written by rock artist Prince, puts a timed echo on the chorus. So every time the phrase Girl 6 comes around, you hear the 6 3 times. Listen.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Girl 6.
On the comedy front, Dan Aykroyd gets arrested in Getting Away with Murder. This one throws 3 6s at you before the titles are even over. Watch.
Turn right. Smile for the birdie.
There's a similar clip in the very dark film From Dusk Until Dawn. In this scene, George Clooney is an escaped bank robber. Like the previous clip, this one shows us 3 6s in his police booking photo.
Gecko was serving time in Rawlings, Kansas State Penitentiary for his...
Another Oliver Stone hit, The Doors, starring Val Kilmer and Meg Ryan, has 3 verbal 6s as rock star Jim Morrison gets sentenced to 6 months in jail with 60 days community service, even as his girlfriend has called 6 times.
We're getting I hereby sentence you to 6 months of hard labor in the Dade County Jail. And for public exposure, I'm sentencing you to 60 days of the same, after which you are to serve 2 years and 4 months of probationary time. Your Honor, I have...
Pamela's called 6 times. Catherine, Patricia.
Princess Caribou is a little flick starring Phoebe Cates and John Lithgow. Here, Lithgow is trying to expose Cates as a scoundrel. In this scene, he's trying to see if she can count to 6.
2, 4, 6 figs. 6. Show us 6.
As best as I can tell, director Quentin Tarantino has used 3 6s in every film he's ever made. Here's 6s in one of his early films, Destiny Turns on the Radio. In this scene, Dylan McDermott's trying to get Nancy Travis to come back to him. What's significant is the rather conspicuous 6 on the wall behind him. Watch.
Guy I haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, what do I get the feeling he ain't just some guy, huh? Oh, he's coming over here. Okay, no, this isn't any good. No, see,
What else is new, huh?
All right.
So where are we at? I have to get back to the hotel.
Oh, come on, I'll give you a ride, all right?
See the Jaguar?
Well,
How fun.
Actually, 6s on the wall behind the actor are used quite a bit, so we'll show you a few more using the same technique. In this film starring Tom Berenger, Tom plays the substitute, and he's confronting a school drug dealer.
Sam! What a surprise.
Tell me about Rollet and Johnny Glades.
Who? I never heard of them. You're nuts? You can't come into a...
In this piece from The Taking of Beverly Hills, hero Ken Wall has 6s on the wall behind him. Watch closely.
You actually got him this time. I've been saving you for something special. Looks like you're finally gonna earn that nickname, Boomer. Crime doesn't pay, boys, but it sure beats working.
Let's look at one more. This one's really obvious. This one plods along, and then right out of nowhere, they put this big 6 on the wall behind the actors. This is actually the finale of a drama called White Palace, starring Susan Sarandon as an older woman in love with a younger James Spader. Here, James is coming to where she works as a waitress to get her back. Don't worry about looking closely here. You won't be able to miss these.
I'm in the middle of ordering.
Table for one, sir?
Yeah.
Have a nice meal.
I asked you not to follow me.
I need to tell you something.
Go away.
I just want you to listen to me. Nora, I've been selfish and careless. I've been stupid.
In the recent major studio comedy, The American President, starring Michael Douglas and Annette Bening, Douglas plays a young American president with an unheard-of approval rating. And what a coincidence. They're going to mention that approval rating 3 times.
With a 63% job approval rating, I don't need their help to get a bill passed.
Good deal.
3 years ago, we were elected to the White House by one of the narrowest margins in history. And today, Kodak here tells us 63% of registered voters think we're doing a good job.
I understand we took them out when we were in the low 40s, but we could push it through now.
After the elections, Lewis.
We may never have an opportunity like this again. So let's take this 63% out for a spin. Let's see what it could do.
Director Robert Altman has a flashy film about the movie industry called The Player. Like his other films, this one's loaded with secret sixes. Here's a clever one. The first 2 sixes are easy because they're verbalized. Look for the third one a few seconds later on the clock in the office.
The opening shot of Wells's Touch of Evil was 6.5 minutes long.
6.5 minutes, Walter?
3 or 4 anyway. He set up the whole picture with that one tracking shot. My father was key grip on that shoot.
Hey, what about Absolute Beginners, man? That was an extraordinary shot.
What the hell was that? Never heard of it.
It's Julian Temple. It's an English film.
We're in English. We're talking about American movies. Orson Welles was a master.
Vino, please.
Yes, indeed, the clock on the wall said 6 minutes after 9. Now let's look at a variation that is fairly common as movie makers seek to use spiritual power to achieve their professional and personal goals. It's important that we see that an upside-down 6, the number 9, is also an occultic power number. In fact, the number 6 is the only alphanumeric digit that has 2 numbers associated with it, a 9 or a 6. In ancient Babylon, the number 9 was sacred. In the early mystery goddess cults, the number 9 was used in magical incantations. For example, one incantation was composed of 9 words that were repeated 3 times. The number 9 not only goes back to Babylon, but it goes back to classics. In the 13th century classic, Dante's Inferno, new arrivals in hell were said to descend 9 levels as they approached the devil. In a more modern manifestation, perhaps you've seen some of those curious personal ads where Catholics advertise a prayer that they repeat to some saint, like St. Jude. Usually the ad says, say this prayer 9 times a day, and by the 9th day, your wish will be granted. In a bizarre variation on the chain letter, the ads also say publication must be promised so they can keep the magic going. The mystical power of the number 9 was originally associated with the goddess Ishtar, whose magic number was 666. It's not an accident that the Bible refers to Mystery Babylon, where Ishtar came from. Babylon is clearly associated with the evil identification of the Antichrist and his number, 666. So what have we learned? 3 things. First, many movie industry creatives believe that the use of 666 will invoke a hidden creative and spiritual power that will bring them good fortune. 2, this belief is related to ancient Babylonian mystery, cultic, religious practices that go back thousands of years. 3, 6s and 9s are interchangeable. You might find a clip with 2 6s and 1 9, or 2 9s and 1 6. The key is there always seems to be 3 of them in some sort of sequence. Now let's take a look at a clip where the 6 is actually a 9. This one is called The Cutting Edge, and it's about a hockey player whose injury causes him to pursue figure skating. In this scene, D.B. Sweeney is player number 9, and the 9 is on his shirt and his helmet. Watch as the filmmaker turns this 9 into 3 6s. It's very clever, isn't it? Now let's look at another variation. In the Steven Spielberg-produced film Young Sherlock Holmes, the order is reversed. Instead of turning a 9 into a 6, they turn a 6 into a 9. All the numbers are actually 6s. It's just that when you see the third 6, it's disguised as a 9.
Let me see, that makes 6 failed attempts. Nevertheless, we shall not be defeated. We shall conquer. I have made up my mind. The conquest of the sky is well within my grasp. All I need to supply once more.
Now I want to check this out again because it's important that we get this. The glider is actually airplane number 6, marking how many attempts the eccentric professor has made. But they carry it upside down, so it's not real obvious that they're implanting 3 6s in this scene. Here's another example of a 9 becoming a 6. In the science fiction film Predator 2, starring Danny Glover, we'll see 2 police cars that have 6s on their roofs. But the third 6 is a shadow. It actually starts as a 9, and the camera will spin, and it becomes a 6. Once directors started using 9s, it became quite a bit easier. After all, sticking 3 6s together without arousing suspicion requires quite a bit of ingenuity. But 3 9s? That's relatively simple. Let's look at some clips with 3 9s. The Demi Moore film, Disclosure, uses a letter E for email that appears repeatedly on the screen. Actually, it's just an inverted 9 they spin 3 times. This occurs throughout the film. Director Robert Altman used 3 9s prominently at the beginning of his California satire, Shortcuts.
Honey, it's on.
Some say yes.
Hey, I'm coming.
How is this war fought? It's like fishing. We use bait. Actually, the bait is spread over our city at night like a glaze. This is very discriminate bait.
Do you have to wear your glasses on TV?
Bombs that destroy one thing, but nothing else. The bait attracts the hungry, newly hatched medflies and poisons only them.
Another film from Larry Gelbart is 1993's Barbarians at the Gate, which repeatedly shows us the number 9 at the corporate headquarters. Because these are interspersed throughout the film, we're showing you 3 of them in rapid succession. In this comedic bit, the rather large John Candy plays Detective Harry Crumb, crawling through a narrow air conditioning duct so he can spy on somebody. Watch for the 9s.
Number 9. I'm here.
Champagne wishes.
And caviar dreams.
With my brains and your brown eyes, we're going places. Big places. We'll get the loot, we'll go straight to the airport. I got tickets booked under a false.
How about Steven Spielberg's Back to the Future? You remember the DeLorean-driven time machine? In the last scene of the film, there's a big neon 9 right there on Main Street, and Michael J. Fox drives past it 3 times. By the way, that clip is in all 3 Back to the Future films. This next one is from an intense 1996 drama called The Crossing Guard. In this film, Jack Nicholson is a distraught jeweler who drinks. Here he's going out with 3 ladies, and he's going to tell the maitre d' his reservation was for 9 p.m. Listen for the number 9 3 times.
Yes, but don't worry, we're going to get the other booth in about 15 minutes. 9, it's right by the bar. I could get that.
So 9?
But no, don't worry about 9. Here, take it. Come on, girl.
Here's Tom Cruise barking out orders to soldiers in Vietnam.
9, 9, 9!
In another Tom Cruise film, Interview with the Vampire, Christian Slater is interviewing vampire Brad Pitt. Instead of zeros, his tape counter gets set to 9999. We see the same dial as Julia Roberts preps Kiefer Sutherland in Flatliners. Here's Bridget Fonda with 3 nines in City Hall.
999. We were expecting the mayor.
This next one is rather ironic. In the Miramax comedy, The Englishman Who Went Up a Hill, they actually used the Bible to sneak in 3 nines. This one has a preacher quoting from Psalm 99, verse 9.
My text for today comes from Psalm 99, verse 9.
Sometimes the nines are very subtle. There are 3 nines cleverly embedded in this 1995 film starring Denzel Washington. It's called Ricochet. Now watch carefully when Denzel utters the number 9 and holds his fingers up to the jury.
Stay in that cramped little room with the lousy coffee and the terrible takeout food until you reach a verdict of guilty on each and every count. Because that's the only verdict that's going to make Roger Dwayne Feltzer pay for the 9, you count them, 9 lives that he just snuffed out.
I hope you also noticed how Denzel tapped his fingers, because that's another technique that's used to establish 3 6s or 3 9s. For example, back in the John Candy flick, Who's Harry Crumb, John taps the number 9 3 times.
Vince Barnes, number 9.
In The Last Seduction, Peter Berg taps the number 6 on the apartment registry 3 times. Now let's look at some more 6s combined with 9s. Remember, it doesn't matter if there's 2 6s and 1 9 or 2 9s and 1 6. The key is there's almost always 3 of them, and they're in some sort of sequence. In the action film genre, the recent Arnold Schwarzenegger hit Eraser is a good example. Yes, even Arnie's films have 666 embeds. In this case, we've got 1 9 and 2 6s. In this scene, he's one of the good guys trying to protect Victoria Williams from a group of criminals in the government. After calling 911, Victoria is told about a place where she can hide.
Okay. You know the signal.
911, I get out of the apartment.
Remember, go straight to the payphone and wait for my call. Anything happens, it's a public place. It's 6 exits and 6 ways out.
Here's a tense scene from the Bruce Willis film, Die Hard with a Vengeance. Bruce is getting in an elevator with a bunch of terrorists, and he's not sure they're the villains until he sees one of them has the badge worn by a cop that's just been killed. This elevator scene from Die Hard brings up an interesting point. Because filmmakers seek to weave their secret 6s into the films without getting caught, they commonly try to place them in scenes where you would expect to see numbers, like elevators. In fact, elevators have to be absolutely the most popular vehicle for secret 6s. In this Clint Eastwood movie, Clint is an aging FBI agent making a play for Rene Russo. Of course, they end up in an elevator. The interesting thing is, movie elevators always seem to start or end on the 6th or 9th floors. I want to make sure you saw the 3 6s, so we'll look at it at slow speed. Notice the 3 lighting changes on the number 6. We'll stay with Elevator 6 for a while. In a film called Breaking Point, Darlan Flugel is a cop chasing a killer. All 3 6s here are visual.
He's on top.
Martial arts figure Jean-Claude Van Damme likes elevators too. In this sci-fi flick, Time Cop, he's headed for the elevator, predictably on the 6th floor. Here's another sci-fi film that has 3 6s in it. It's called Automatic, and they're back-to-back.
6th floor. Did you forget something, Nora? Doors are closing.
Here's still another set of 666s in the elevator. This one's from Oliver Stone's Wall Street. In this scene, Charlie Sheen's trying to catch an elevator. Watch closely. This one's lightning fast. Did you miss them? Let's slow it down to be sure. Okay, that's 1. That's 2. That's 3. Let's look at another very tricky elevator sequence. This one's ingenious, for one of the numbers is very well hidden. It's from the Sean Connery hit, The Rock. Here, Connery is about to escape from the penthouse floor of the hotel. The thing is, even though the penthouse is on the 9th floor, the elevator marker shows it as a P for penthouse.
All units, this is caretaker. We have a signal 6. He's in the hotel. Okay, I don't want to know nothing. I never saw you throw that gentleman off the balcony.
Here's still another elevator clip. In this second piece from the film Automatic, Daphne Ashbrook is running from the bad guys. She's just left the elevator and is being chased on the 6th floor.
6. West. She's on 6. Got it.
Here's an incredible package of 6s embedded in The Player. In this scene, with Whoopi Goldberg and Lyle Lovett, star Tim Robbins is in a cop lineup. This 2-minute bit has a whopping 9 sets of 666s. 9 sets. They're all visual, so notice the 3 6s across the middle of the lineup background.
Hard, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Number 2 takes 1 step forward. I mean, I wouldn't want to pick the wrong one.
No,
turn to the right.
You just take your time.
Oh, face forward.
Anybody look vaguely familiar?
Take a quarter turn to the left.
Well, you know what?
Face forward.
Take your time.
Step back into position. Number 3, take 1 step forward.
This is not easy. I know it is.
Never is, Mr.
Make a quarter turn to the
I
right.
mean, I am trying. Yeah, just take your time. And I did see him clearly.
Make a quarter turn to the left. Step back into
No, I don't.
Now, even with 9 sets of secret 6s, Director Altman wants 1 more. This last verbal set of 3 6s lasts 9 seconds. These are audible 6s, so you'll have to listen closely because they're very fast. A background voice tells suspect number 6 to take a step forward. Then the witness says it's not number 6. Then the defense attorney also says it's not number 6. Listen closely.
No, the other one. That one.
Which one? It's
forward.
not number 6.
Not
that
number
much
6.
I know.
How long has this been going on? The answer is occultic embeds have been with us for decades. They really got rolling in the 80s and the 90s, but I've got examples from the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Here's one from the 1950s. British director Alfred Hitchcock was considered a master at subtle textures and subliminal imagery, including this popular 1955 film with Cary Grant and Grace Kelly. It was called To Catch a Thief. In this well-known scene, Grace suddenly kisses Cary. Watch the numbers on her hotel room door. In 1965, Dear Bridget was a hit film starring Jimmy Stewart with a boy genius for a son. And the kid, whose name is Erasmus, is a math whiz. And he's pretty good at picking horses, too.
cheese. French for cheese, of course. Here it is. Let me see. 6 at Bay Meadows.
Well, you're right. The 6th at Bay Meadows, French cheese.
Great God in the mountains, a 60 to 1 shot.
Here's a great old Western starring Donna Reed and Richard Widmark. They're looking for the survivor of an Indian massacre and a missing $60,000 in gold. This film is from 1956.
You were looking for the 60,000 in gold that's supposed to be buried out there, weren't you?
No.
Why were you there?
I was looking for a grave. My father's.
Wasn't a nice way to go. Been down for weeks while the Apaches waited for him to run out of food. Which they did.
They didn't have to go that way. One man was in the clear.
What do you mean?
One man got away, left the rest to be massacred.
Not according to the records. There were 5 men at Gila Valley. All of them are buried there.
There was a 6th man. He could have ridden to the cavalry post at Tucson for help. But the gold was more important. So he let him die.
And you're looking for that 6th man?
That's right.
In 1962, William Holden made a spy movie with leading lady Lily Palmer. We actually have 2 sets of embeds in this interesting old film called The Counterfeit Traitor. In this first shot, Holden is stranded in Nazi Germany looking for his contact. She's to recognize him by the 3-point handkerchief he brings out once he finds her. In this second scene, Lily Palmer's facing a firing squad with walls that have 6s on them. The oldest film I've been able to find, at least so far with embedded 6s, goes all the way back to 1941. It's a classic called Ball of Fire, and it starred Gary Cooper and Barbara Stanwyck. In this scene, you'll see the number 9 on the door where Stanwyck is staying. Watch this. This one also has 2 sets of 6s. The second time, they add a verbal 6 to keep it interesting. Listen closely.
What's the number of Audley's bungalow? He's in 6. Audley?
What about television, or even commercials? Well, I don't watch much series television, but I was able to find a couple of programs with subliminal embeds. On Star Trek, The Next Generation, you might remember the crew had this running poker game. Here, Geordie LaForge, played by LeVar Burton, has a tough hand to beat.
3 6s.
Fold.
Network TV series Silk Stockings is a cop show running on broadcast and cable. In this clip, they've come to interview a station executive about a murder. Predictably, he works at Channel 6. So, 666s are embedded in motion pictures as well as weekly television series programming. But what about commercials? Do modern commercial producers try to invoke the power of 666 in order to sell product? The answer is yes. A national sponsor for a psychic firm has an ad that has run literally hundreds of times on cable and satellite television programs. Let's look at it. This 60-second spot carries 3 big 6s within the commercial. We've shortened it here so you don't have to watch the whole trashy piece, but you can't miss the sixes. They're huge.
Call now to get 6 free minutes. And while supplies last, this Brazilian power crystal absolutely free.
I really couldn't believe how good it was. I was psyched.
Let Psychic Encounters give you 6 free minutes and this Brazilian power crystal absolutely free. George Bloom called and won the love of her life. Remember, get 6 free minutes and this Brazilian crystal as our gift.
Here's a commercial for the CPA Trade Association that ran on national television. This one has high-end graphics with some unmistakable numbers.
In every number, there is a question. Is there life after retirement? How far will your company go? In every number, there is a question. And if you have the vision to see it, an answer. You see numbers, we see opportunities.
I'll show you 2 more commercials, then we'll move on to yet another area showing the use of Embeds to gain spiritual power and the devil's favor. These are 2 national sponsors. Both commercials have 666s. Both aired on national television on CNN in June in 1997. They're for a couple of little companies called American Airlines and United Airlines.
I don't know. Never thought much about retiring. Figured I'd know when the time was right.
We're gonna miss you, Ted.
36 years. Started on DC-6s. Pretty much everything you needed to work on one, you found in the toolbox. That's the way it's always been. I'm proud to say for the past 36 years, I've been a small part of that.
Way to go, Ted. What a coincidence that he's worked for American for 36 years, and he worked on the DC-6 airline. The United spot's even slicker. Watch this.
Didn't this training start at 6?
Yeah, where is he?
This is ridiculous. I'm not gonna sit here and take this.
Feeling a little frustrated? Tired of waiting? You don't understand what's going on? That's how it feels to fly sometimes. Make it your responsibility to make sure no one feels that way on United.
Compared to the rest of the industry, United is heading in a different direction.
Commercials do go by very quickly, so let's look at that one again.
Didn't this training start at 6?
Yeah, where is he?
You don't understand what's going on?
I understand what's going on, and now so do you. As you can see, it's getting more and more difficult for these various media producers to claim this is all just a big coincidence. Now I'd like to offer some evidence that the movie studios and even the networks themselves are aware of what's really going on. Let's start with Cinemax. If you've got cable or satellite, you've very likely seen this little segment that runs just before they show a new movie. Watch for the 6s. Here's a promotional piece that Cinemax did for the premiere of a new movie called Girl 6. This is a true subliminal embed because it flashes on the screen faster than you can see it. So we'll show it twice and slow it down the second time. You can't miss the 9 and the 6s.
Cinemax presents Girl 6, directed by Spike Lee. The 6th film in a week-long tribute to Max presents Girl 6, directed by Spike Lee. The 6th film in a week-long tribute.
Interesting, isn't it? Since Cinemax is associated with HBO, it's no surprise that we also find Secret 6s in the following HBO promo. Let's slow that down and watch how layers of 6s subtly emerge in the water. Watch the O of HBO. Here's one from another network called Encore. Like Cinemax and HBO, Encore shows uncut movies. Watch for the 6s. Once again, they're well hidden. Incredibly, the Encore people have embedded 9 6s in this little spot. We'll slow it down and freeze frame it for you. One of the oldest studios in the business, Republic Pictures, recently celebrated their 60th anniversary, and they decided to produce a promotional clip to commemorate the occasion. This one has 6s floating all over it in the foreground and the background. It's about 2 minutes long, but I want to show you the whole clip. Republic Pictures.
Republic Pictures, 60 years of great entertainment.
While it's undeniable that most of these 666 embeds were deliberately engineered, there are some very strange things that happen in the realm of the spirit. It is possible that some of these clips and embeds are simply manifestations of the spirit that drives the entertainment industry. What I'm saying is it's feasible that the spirit of Antichrist is coming forth in these creative people's work, and they're not even aware of it. The Bible says a tremendous spiritual conspiracy will converge on the planet in an all-encompassing global culture that will emerge in the last days. The spirit of Antichrist is destined to inhabit the entire world, and the only ones that are immune will be those that are sealed by the Holy Spirit of God and our only Savior, Jesus Christ. The fact is that Antichrist spirit is pushing hard through all forms of media as all global and cultural leaders eventually become indwelled with the final lie of Satan. That lie is personified by the number 666, and it will continue to manifest itself all the way through the Great Tribulation, Armageddon, and the return of Jesus Christ. I'm going to show you one more cluster of films with 6s and 9s embedded. You decide if these were planted intentionally or if they are simply spiritual manifestations of the spirit of Antichrist. We've already seen a clip from Back to the Future from Steven Spielberg. Let's look at Back to the Future 2. Spielberg outdoes himself with this one. It's near the end of the movie. Here the DeLorean explodes and floats into the clouds where it becomes 2 reversed upside-down 6s. To get in the third 6, a messenger shows up with a special delivery. Listen for that third 6.
You don't want to get struck by lightning!
Looks like I lost.
Did you say 70 years?
Yeah, 70 years, 2 months, 12 days to be exact. Here, sign on line 6, please.
Robert Altman's closing credits on his film Shortcuts has 6s on the map behind the credits. The map is using grid numbers that are used on the Thomas Brothers maps. Watch for the sixes.
That's what I do. Think about nothing.
Quentin Tarantino's anthology, 4 Rooms, from Disney subsidiary Miramax, is positively loaded with sixes. By the way, early in the film, they mention the triple goddess, whose number we know to be 666. In the final segment of the film, there are 6 steps down into the pit as they enter the penthouse suite at the hotel the movie is set in. In this film, the 6 steps are used a total of 6 times. In this next bit, Tarantino, who not only directed the segment but starred in it, is trying to convince bellhop Tim Roth to listen to his proposition. Listen.
But if you wait 60 seconds before you do it, you're going to be $100 richer.
Ted, you're going to do whatever you want to do. All we're asking is that you indulge us for 1 minute more. My friend Chester here is willing to pay you for that minute.
Ted, take the money.
Now, let me get this straight. I'll sit on that stool, listen to what you have to say for 60 seconds, and I'll get $100?
Which is yours. And another pile, which could be yours. And what you have to realize is we're going to do this thing one way or the other. Whether it's you who holds the axe, or a Mexican maid, or some bum we yank off the street.
You can buy a whole lot of soup with that pile.
Shh, I'm the closer here, all right? Now, I'm a little, I've lost count. How much is on the bar here?
600.
Okay.
I hope you noticed that besides the 2 60s and the $600 that were verbalized in that scene, when QT asked how much money was there on the table, 3 people shouted out $600. Coincidence? Hardly. The latest James Bond film, called GoldenEye, is positively laced with sixes. Here, Agent 007 is on a mission with Agent 006.
Sit time is 6 minutes. 6 minutes. Check.
Here's Dan Aykroyd and John Candy in The Great Outdoors. In this scene, Candy and Aykroyd are in a bar and they're being introduced to a guy that's been hit by lightning.
He's been struck by lightning. How many times is it now, Reg?
6 times. 66 times.
66 times.
Let's see another one from The American President with Michael J.
We're gonna
Fox.
win this in a walk. You know, it's like a kissing booth at a carnival. Give us a vote, get a photo op with number 63.
We should have gone after the handguns.
No, we gotta do one thing at a time.
We don't have time to do one thing at a time.
In a film in which Demi Moore strips 6 times, she's in a child custody fight waiting for her day in court.
Anyway, I called around, and the earliest, it's going to be 6 months before your appeal gets heard by a new judge.
6 months?
Oh, assistant here, it's all backed up.
I can't allow this. I can't allow
No,
her
I
to stay with him
understand.
for another
Yeah.
6 months. Anything could happen.
Later on in Striptease, Demi's little girl is playing a board game with a couple of the strippers.
6? Always.
Natural Born Killers, starring Woody Harrelson, has at least 6 sets of subliminal sixes. We'll just look at the most obvious ones here. In this clip, keep an eye on the newspaper because it has Route 666 on it.
Tonight, I'm standing on Highway 666, running through towns like Cortez, Shiprock.
You're going down to 324, take it over to 66, and Farmington's up about 65 miles. Quick ride.
I'll show you one more clip from Natural Born Killers. Incredibly, this features 3 complete sets of 666s, all within 60 seconds. The third one's very tricky, but I'll give you a clue. All 3 sixes are visual. Watch.
know sometime, man.
I want to make sure you caught it because it illustrates just how sneaky these people are. The first two are fairly obvious. Route 666 is seen on the billboard and the neon sign. The third one is 6 separate frames of the devil. I'll slow it down so you can catch them. You think that's an accident? Well, I'm going to show you one more cut. This is an older film called All the Marbles, starring Columbo's Peter Falk. It's about lady wrestlers in a very strange dice game where Falk just keeps rolling sixes. Watch.
I only live once. Another 6. Wow. Yeah, I'll try to do it again. I'll buy the odds here. Now, I can put 400 back here, can I? All right, so I got 400 here. So I get, well, you know what I get on the back,
yeah.
don't you?
Even money
This
on the
I
line,
get the same amount here. Okay.
Hey, DC.
Oh, 6 points. Okay, 6 points. There we go. What is
I'm glad I followed my horoscope.
All right, I'm betting that. I'm going to bet 600.
You got it. It's couple. Little lane will play. All right.
Okay?
Coming out.
I got 6 going.
Good shooter.
Good shooter? Doing good? What's the point? 6. Unbelievable. I got my 6 back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How much I get if I win? Quick.
No, 25, 20.
5, no field.
5. Okay.
5. Looking for a 6. 2 3s. Bet it hard, boys.
Come on. Oh, I'd love to make this. Come on, baby.
Think his luck will hold out? 6. Hey, the man. Another 6.
Another 6?
Quite a few 6s.
22, 23, 24, 25, 20. 600 on the line, 600 behind the line, pays to you 25, 20.
All right, gentlemen, I'm going to bet $100.
Come out, roll. Bet it hard. 6.
You did it before.
Come on, give us a
All right,
let's get it out here now. Come on, let's see this. Box price, snake eyes, and
hard way. That's an awful lot of 6s.
All right.
on a blade. Let's go. Here we go. Come on.
Let's see if we can make another 6 here.
Let's see it. Let's see it out here. Out in the field.
Like the man said, that's a lot of 6s. Now we have just a couple of minutes left. Throughout this tape, we've left one question unasked. Does this practice actually affect people? Absolutely. The only defense is in the person of Jesus Christ. Bible prophecy tells us that the spirit of Antichrist is destined to emerge in a powerful way throughout the planet. As time runs out, people's decisions are being made on a daily basis. Jesus Christ is your only defense to the spirit that inhabits 666s. As we complete this video, I have every expectation that the major money interests in the entertainment industry will move to suppress distribution of this program. Tapes of this nature have a way of disappearing or getting buried in lawsuits. By the way, we're not for censorship because we don't want to be censored as we move to oppose this demonic phenomena. For the record, this is the first program to actually expose this particular practice. Here at Christian Media, we don't ask for donations, but we would like to ask for your help. People need to see this information. You can help us by praying for us and by purchasing an additional copy of this videotape to show to your friends. People need to hear this information, and we want you to share this information with your friends, but the fact is many of them won't believe you. They need to see the evidence. That's why this program is done on video. I want to urge you to call or write me at your earliest convenience. This is not the only prophetically significant information that God has revealed to me. I know things about the tribulation period that is soon to come. I know things about the Antichrist, including his identity. Through our periodicals, Christian Media, the newspaper, our newsletter, Prophecy newsletter, the Apocalypse Chronicles, through books, through audio teaching tapes, through videos. We have a great deal of information that we wish to impart, but you need to get in touch with us. On the screen is our telephone number and our mailing address. Call or write me at area code 541-899-8888. That's 541-899-8888. You can write to me, James Lloyd, Box 448, Jacksonville, Oregon, 97530. Once again, I want to urge you to get in touch. We'd like to send you detailed information on Bible prophecy. Thanks for watching this program. God bless you as you seek His Son, Jesus Christ.
In the midst of the war, He offered us peace. He came like a lover from out of the east, with the face of an angel and the heart of a beast. His intentions were 666. He walked up to the temple with gold in his hand. Then he bought off the priests and propositioned the land. The world was his harlot. She laid down in the sand while the band, they played 666. We started in his program, slept on his floor, but he starved us and he beat us, nailed us to the door. Now I'm ready to die. I can't take any more, and I'm sick of his lies and his tricks, and the movies that play 666. Yes, the movies play 666. He told us he loved us. That was a lie. There was blood in his pockets, death in his eye. Well, my number's up, and I'm willing to die if the band plays 660s and the movies play 660s. All the world